Do you often wonder why we talk so much about gut feelings or gut-wrenching experiences? You see, there's more to gut than just digestion, than just absorbing food. It's a mysterious world which is connected to all aspects of our health, and it holds a secret to our well-being. It is a secret that connects between our gut feelings and our immune function and overall health. So I want to welcome you to a journey to the very core of your health, your gut. My name is Anindita, and I am a functional medicine certified health coach and practitioner, and I help women with autoimmune conditions reverse their symptoms with their bodies as their guide. And today, I am actually acting as your guide into exploring the incredible world of gut health. So maybe you've been dealing with, a lot of common symptoms nowadays, unfortunately, whether it's gas, bloating, indigestion, constipation, or asthma, or even maybe certain diseases like eczema, allergies, and maybe even autoimmunity for that matter. If this is what you're dealing with, this conversation is for you. So our gut, as I mentioned, is not just for processing food. It's a central hub for our immune system. It trains immune system. It has a regulatory function, and it orchestrates our body's defense mechanism. So you see, it plays a very, very important role in our health and well-being. But here's the catch. While we all want to, live health with good health, and we of course take steps to do that, there are common pitfalls that many of us unknowingly stumble into. So because we are not aware of some of the factors that contribute or adversely affect our gut health, right? And as I said, the gut health is the cornerstone of your health. And in fact, we say in functional medicine, which is the science of medicine about finding and addressing the root causes of disease, that more than 80% of your disease begins in the gut. So the first thing is that we often end up doing unknowingly is overlooking the significance of eating hygiene. So while we pay a lot of attention maybe to the kind of foods that we're consuming, but how we eat is equally important. So whether we are eating mindlessly without paying attention to the taste, to the flavors, etc. And, we tend to overeat, we tend to eat the wrong foods. Plus, we also hinder digestion, the initial phase of digestion that starts in our mouth, right? That plays a very, very important role. And I'm going to talk a bit about that. Next is understanding the connection between stress and the health of your gut. You see, you have a whole host of microbes which live, in a symbiotic relationship. So it's a give and take relationship that we have with these whole host of microbes, which includes bacteria, virus, and fungi, etc. And they live largely in our the lower part of the intestine, the large intestine. And that has an effect on our gut health. But stress can actually often lead to a dysbiosis in that collection of microbes, which we call a microbiome. So they can lead to a dysbiosis. That means the ratio of pathogenic to beneficial bacteria and can actually become skewed, and it can start impacting digestion and absorption and lead to diseases downstream. It often starts with minor symptoms like gas and bloating, indigestion, but it can actually have downstream effects like even constipation, diarrhea. And of course, let's not forget about the diversity of our diet, where we need to have all kinds of whole unprocessed foods on a daily basis, like a whole host of fruits and vegetables which are high in fiber. So often when we lack that, we don't end up having those essential nutrients. We end up having a lot of processed foods which are very low in fiber and almost, very low in these essential nutrients. That also has an impact on our health and well-being, starting with our gut, leading to the immune dysregulation, etc. And lastly, even, a very, very basic thing that like having enough water. I find this is something that, many of us struggle with, just hydration. In fact, this is one of the key things. The first thing that I look for when somebody tells me they have constipation, it is usually a lack of hydration. And it plays a very, very crucial role in maintaining motility, which means that it helps your stool to pass along. You don't want everything to be backed up, just like think of a drain pipe in your kitchen. You don't want the garbage to keep backing up, and it finally overflow into your kitchen sink or wherever the drain is, and you don't want that, right? So that's something that has a adverse impact on our health in the long run, right? So these are all things that we need to keep in mind because it affects our overall health. It's gut affects the rest of your body, starting with the immune function. So when we talk about autoimmunity, I always start with the gut. When we talk about any kind of immune dysregulation, so allergies, asthma, eczema, we go back to the gut. And this is actually true for most chronic conditions, right? They usually stem from the gut, which is why I said disease often begins in the gut. So now let's dive into some of the consequences of this missteps when you're not actually doing the things that you should be doing. So some of the things that happen when you rush through your meals, right? When you are engaging in mindless eating. So typically this happens when you're watching TV or you're, paying the bills or doing something else, or even, eating while standing. I remember I had a client whom I had to, tell her to actually start sitting down to eat, right? That is not helpful, standing while eating. She had certain digestive symptoms and other thyroid issues, etc. So the first thing I had her do was sit down and start paying attention to her food. So bloating, gas, acid reflux, indigestion, they can all come from this eating pattern. So just by making this one tiny change in your eating habit, not even the foods that you're consuming, eating habit can make a huge impact, right? So you can actually remove a lot of your chronic discomfort by doing this. Then the other thing that happens is when we don't have in place a stress management strategy, some kind of tool, right? Whether it's meditation, whether it's journaling, whether it's reflection, whether it's swimming, whether it's yoga, there has to be some way, whether it's just pausing, taking, these small breaks during the day, whether it's, so, it can be anything that appeals to you. But if you don't have that, you're basically, sending your gut into chaos, right? There is a gut-brain axis that we have. It's a two-way street. The gut communicates with the brain and the brain communicates with the gut. And we know, research shows us that the gut communicates with the brain 3 times more than the brain communicates with our gut. That tells us something, isn't it? That the gut is actually informing our brain about our environment, because the gut is where, the most of the information first comes through the foods that we consume and through everything else that comes through with our food. So if you have persistent stress, that itself can lead to a whole host of digestive issues, including irritable bowel syndrome and, inflammatory bowel disease, like over a period of time. So this chronic inflammation that typically starts in the gut then can permeate, and it, becomes a systematic issue, leading to skin issues. Skin issues are actually connected to your gut health. So eczema, respiratory conditions like asthma, and even autoimmune conditions. That is the extreme form of the spectrum. So actually it's a spectrum, and it starts with these minor digestive symptoms, and it starts becoming more and more aggressive as symptoms, and then finally you have the manifestation as a disease. So you want to make sure that when you're at the beginning stages, you take the measures so that you don't develop a full-blown disease. And even if you have one right now, you can actually start taking some of these steps and bringing it back, right? Moving towards health. And of course, we know this, a diet lacking in diversity and rich in processed foods, low in fiber, low in essential nutrients can actually, lead to imbalanced gut microbiome. I mentioned that, which is called gut dysbiosis, where you have a disproportionate amount of pathogenic microbes to the good ones, and that creates a whole host of issues, and it weakens what we call a gut lining or the gut barrier. This is the barrier that separates our outer world from our inner world, because the food that comes in goes into your gut, gets digested, processed over there, absorbed eventually, and there is a one cell thick lining that separates this outer world from our inner world. Because with that, if that lining becomes more permeable, right, it starts allowing more things that it should. So it should be completely digested foods. It should not be allowing toxins and other microbes to enter our bloodstream. But when that starts happening, and that's what we call a leaky gut or enhanced intestinal permeability, that starts the disease process, because that leads to the immune system triggering an immune response, because it starts reacting to what is coming into the bloodstream just to keep us safe. It's just doing its job. Nothing's wrong with that, but it becomes a chronic problem because when it starts happening every day, because you're eating foods, 3 times a day at least, and every single day of the week, and that becomes a problem. So leading to chronic inflammation, leading to, the leaky gut phenomena that I just mentioned. And it's a precursor to many chronic health conditions. So even if you have minor symptoms right now, even if you're just dealing with some, some gas or bloating or constipation, do not ignore that. You don't want to reach a stage where it manifests itself as a proper disease. Lastly, when we neglect our body's need for adequate hydration and regular movement, we slow down motility. Motility is what allows your stool to pass through and then be excreted from the body. And with the stool, a lot of toxins, hormones, a lot of things get excreted. So you want that to just pass through as smoothly as possible. Think of it as, again, your kitchen sink and the drain pipe. You want that garbage to flow out. You don't want a backup. And you certainly don't want that garbage to go back into your sink, right? That would lead to all kinds of issues. So stagnation in the gut allows harmful bacteria to grow, and you don't want that. That itself is the cause of bloating, actually. And then it can lead to inflammatory bowel syndrome, etc. The small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or SIBO as it is called. This is how it starts, right? So you have to ensure that you're doing whatever it takes to make sure that your food is digested properly and move through the system, and then eventually as stool, and then the stool is excreted. So what's the takeaway from this? And what are you actually learning? What am I actually trying to share with you? That even seemingly small habits can have a huge impact on your well-being. Because if you don't pay attention to this, these can over time snowball into a perfect storm within our gut, and it sets off a cascade of health challenges, starting with some basic symptoms, digestive symptoms, leading to diseases like eczema, asthma, allergies, and maybe other such diseases. And an extreme case is autoimmunity, which is where, which is what I actually work with, right? But you don't have to go through this entire disease process. If you're right at the cusp of all of this, even if you have minor symptoms today, you can actually start taking measures to ensure that the disease, this doesn't continue to progress. You don't have to keep going downstream, right? In functional medicine, which is a science of finding and addressing the root causes of disease, we try and keep going further and further upstream. Downstream are all the symptoms that you're facing. So it might be gas, it might be bloating, it might be indigestion, constipation, diarrhea. What I try and do with my clients is go further and further upstream and find out and pinpoint what are the things that's going on. What are the factors causing these downstream effects, right? And typically, we have to start with the gut. And when we go to the gut, it's either lack of hydration, lack of movement, huge amounts of stress, unresolved stress, mindless eating, all the things that I have talked about. These are very basic things that I'm covering today, but often it's the basics that go missing. And most people focus on supplementation, they focus on getting expensive lab testing, they do all the exotic things, and they actually miss out on all the basic stuff, which is what you need for a strong foundation for true root cause healing. You want your symptoms to go away and hopefully never come back. And even if they come back, they should be less in intensity. Their life has its ups and downs. So, symptoms do recur, but it should be lesser in intensity. It should be less in frequency. And most of all, you should know what needs to be done at that point, because you should be so tuned into your own gut, your own body, that you should know what steps that you can take. So if you are now ready, to understand, because now you've understood the connections, and why these strategic lifestyle shifts are so important in terms of improving our gut health, in terms of, getting rid of many of your symptoms actually, and it completely transforms your overall health and well-being, whether it's energy, whether it's vitality, whether it's brain fog, right? It's not just these digestive symptoms that go away. It's a lot of the other symptoms that you did not really connect the dots with. You didn't really understand that the other symptoms also are connected to this, right? So you can actually transform your overall well-being by focusing on this. And that's exactly what our 7-day Gut Reboot challenge. It's a free challenge. It's designed to help you achieve. over the course of 7 days, I'll be guiding you through a step-by-step process to reset and rejuvenate your gut. So whatever I just talked about, whether it's eating hygiene, whether it's movement, whether it's stress management, all of these will be, shared with you as simple, actionable tasks plus wellness tips so that actually you can implement in the most effective way possible. I will be doing a live Q&A session inside a Facebook community, Embrace Your Healing Journey podcast. And I will, also be showing up on Instagram on Friday. So there will be many ways that I'll be supporting you through this so that you can actually make the most of this challenge, right? So you will have, so by the end of these 7 days, you will not only have a wealth of information, very, very specific information, not what you get exposed to when you just Google on the internet, but a practical roadmap to maintain your gut health in the long run, right? You'll be equipped with tools to listen to your body. Very basic, but very, very powerful. So if you are ready to embark on this gut health journey, join our 7-day Gut Reboot Challenge and take the first step towards transforming your health with the help of your gut. So if you are ready, head to the link in bio and sign up today.